Train the muscles, not the joints.
So right now I'm going to do some barbell curls. Now usually I do back first, but lately I don't care. I like to get some extra biceps and stuff going on. So I'm going to do barbell curls, and there's 2 or 3 different ways to do barbell curls, right? You know, you can do different grips, wider, narrower, come all the way up, you know, keep the elbows back. And with the heavier weight, I always keep the elbows back. That's the best way to do it, because once I start bringing them forward, it starts to exploit the front delts, right? And I start to get more front delt, and I start to also, let's just say it feels more risky on the tendons and the bicep when your arms are forward with heavy weight. Back here, it's almost like at this last little few inches of range of motion or degrees, right? What happens is that when you lower the weight, the weight is not pushing to stretch the bicep tendon. So the risk of tearing is very, very low if your elbows are back. So that's the other thing that I like about keeping the elbows back. Not only does it isolate my bicep more, but it also safer on the bicep tendons. But for the warm-up set, I just do it, you know, whatever way. Sometimes I'll play around, I'll go back and go forward, you know. So right now I'm just going forward, this feels good. So yeah, you can have 2 different techniques, right? A technique for bicep curls when you're going heavy or medium, and then a technique for when you're going light. Both are bicep curls, but you may feel them totally differently, right? And both are good, not one or the other, both are good. It just depends on the circumstance and how you're built. That feels good. I don't know, and here's the other thing. Some days you're gonna find one technique feels really great, and then other days that technique doesn't feel right. It's the strangest thing, right? So that's why it's really important to be in the moment. Like, so today I feel like, wow, this feels really good. I can't tell you why. I have no idea why. But today it feels unbelievably, insanely good. So I'm gonna do a few sets of that, then I'm gonna put some weight on the bar, and then have the elbows back, and then do it a different way. Just for fun, right? It can be fun sometimes, right? Yeah? Maybe? Okay. Now again, the other thing that people get caught up in barbell curls is that the upper body should move at all, and it should just be straight like this. That's not necessarily true, right? It just depends on what feels comfortable in order for you to get that body into the movement, meaning the bicep body, the body of the bicep. Now, sometimes I find leaning over like this, and then basically coming up, I feel like it just lends itself to a better bicep amount of tension. Like I find if I go too strict, it actually diminishes the tension. And I find there's certain parts of the movement it feels better for me to be over, and some parts it feels better for me to be straight up. But it's not because I'm swinging the upper body to swing the weight up, right? That's a different thing. So these subtleties seem to be lost. But you know, in the end, it's a matter of whatever generates the most intensity on the muscle you want to hit. It's not always about being super strict, and somehow strict helps isolate the muscle more. Sometimes being strict isolates the muscle less. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's the truth. Sometimes I find that, say if I'm too strict, I find that other muscles come into play in order to get past those weaker areas, and the main muscle I want to hit doesn't get used, because certain major muscle groups come into play when you're, let's just say you're in an anatomically advantageous position, right? And you're trying to give them a little bit of an advantage, you know? Like, so it's kind of like just when people rest on their joints at the bottom of a movement, and then it takes a whole bunch of effort just to get that 1 millimeter out of the bottom. But the main muscle groups, like the main muscle bellies that you're trying to hit, aren't necessarily the ones getting recruited to do that, right? You know, you see all sorts of guys that squat, you know, really deep, but their lower back and their hips are coming into play just to get them out of the hole. Now, again, this always depends on how you're built. If you're more straight up and down squatter like Tom Platz, you know, different scenario. But most people aren't built like Tom Platz. It just, again, it always boils down to you, right? See, if I just go strict like this, that's fine. But I don't know, I just find it comfortable. Sometimes being comfortable is okay. It's like, sometimes it helps you put more stress on the muscle belly. Not a lot of room in the garage right now because I got the car here and all the doors closed up, so that plays a role in how much banging around in the racks and stuff I'm doing. So yeah, changes the dynamic. So it's like a jungle gym in here right now. So yeah, I'll do one more light set and then I'll do a couple sets of heavier. All right, so really I did everything ass backwards. Usually you'd never burn out with lightweight first, or do lots and lots of reps and then go into heavy, or you wouldn't usually do that anyway. But this is not really like a strength training type of thing. I'm just trying to isolate the biceps, pre-exhaust them in a certain way, and then add a little bit of weight. I don't know, you know, some people say confusion principle doesn't exist and all that. But I always go on the feel principle. I always go on, okay, how do I feel the muscle principle? And whatever helps me feel that muscle better and get more exhausted, then that's what I'm doing. And the funny thing is, from doing all these blocks and punches and stuff, I'm getting a lot of bicep activity at the bottom, and it feels pretty good. So I think that's also playing a role in how my biceps are feeling during this workout. So you can see when I'm using a little bit heavier weight, not super heavy weight, but just heavier, I lean over the bar quite a bit and I pull kind of more straight up. It's almost like a combination between a drag curl and a curl. I find once I go heavier, like I said, and I start going forward, then it becomes a front delt movement. Whether that's because of my injuries or what, but I don't know. But back in the day, before I had any sort of hockey shoulder injuries, I curled like that. And people in the gym would always be like, why are you going all the way up? What's wrong with you? But I developed 18 3/4 inch arms doing that, you know? So that was when I was at my peak with arm development. So yeah, that's how I did it. I basically isolated the bicep rather than coming all the way up, because I found I just brought in too much front delt doing that. I'm always sweaty in here. See, I'm wiping the sweat off. because it's like a sauna in this place now. The first time my fan on my camera is coming on with a caution light saying, hey, the camera needs to deheat or cool down, right? Because it's just been so freaking hot out with all this forest fire stuff. I like to think that just because I'm so hot and the girls that see me, it just lights them on fire. They're just like totally enamored with my looks, but that's probably not the truth, but I prefer to think of it that way. That's why there's so much heat right now. Yeah, so finding an upper body position that's comfortable can sometimes help you, right? I find when I go like this, I don't know, just find I can't recruit the bicep quite the same with the barbell. But you're gonna have to play with this, right? Depending on how long your arms are and all that stuff. But that's the most comfortable position for me, I find. So, the bottom line is though, mostly, I like it when the elbows are back. And when I'm doing lighter, then I'll bring the elbows forward sometimes. And then the last couple reps, I just did the full reps all the way to the top, just to finish it off and see how it felt. Because it's almost like a pre-exhaustion, right? Where keeping the elbows back, I'm pre-exhausting the bicep. And then when I bring the shoulders in to bring that arm up, I'm ensuring that the biceps are gonna hit failure first and foremost. So yeah, it's just little ways you can do things. Like you can mess around with a technique, but again, like all exercises are made up, and some exercises you can adjust based on where you're feeling the stresses and what's going on. So yeah, I hope this helps in your training. I'm gonna go and do some pull-ups now, but I'm gonna let you guys go. Let me know how you like the video, and if you want me to do more videos like this. And I guess that's all I gotta say. And if you haven't tuned into the podcast yet, make sure you tune into the podcast. The link is in the description. So thanks a lot for watching, and take care for now.